this one?
Yeah.
Okay. Good morning.
Good morning.
I'm Sharon and I'll be your MC once again this morning. Welcome to Makawao Hongwanji's Dharma family service. Today, we will observe a Memorial Day service to honor men and women who went off to war and did not return home. The service will begin with Reverend Carey reading a list of names of soldiers who lost their lives while serving their country. From the memorial service held on May 29, 1989. Please listen quietly and reflect on the meaning and significance of these names.
春雪池本、春尾狩本、正し木島、登る中村、ロイ島福、信行竹下、実登坂、重雄和佐野、俊吉川、勝弘金光、正義川原、忍亀谷、Richard Kawahara, Richard Magari Fuji, Akio Nishikawa, Hideo Shigeta, Teruto Tanimoto, Sueo Tsunoda, Hideo Yamada, Yoshito Masuda, Isamu Suda, Masato Kawa. Namo Amida.
Let's begin our service with the singing of the Dana Tisarana together in Pali and English. Please rise if you're able to.
Namo Tassa.
Thank you. Please be seated. We will now sing the Gasho with Amida, which you can find on the screen or your book. Okay? And this will be followed by the quiet meditation.
Flowers bloom and flowers fall from new flowers. This is the truth unchanging. I show with Amida. Springtime brings the happy birds. Their songs all praise Amida. I join them in Nembutsu. I show with Amida. When I call Amida's name, it's Amida calling me. Who does voice my voice part one? I show with Amida. When I'm lonely, I recite Namo Amida Butsu. Then I feel great compassion. I show with Amida. Nembutsu in work and play. Every day with Amida. Every moment filled with light. I show with Amida. Remember the golden chain. Kindness to all living things. I will follow his teaching. I show with Amida. In the clear bright morning sun. In the fading light of day. In the darkness of the night. I show with Amida. Namo Amida Butsu. I live in great compassion. This great power guides my life. I show with Amida. Let's sit together quietly for a few moments. So just relax and get comfortable. If you are able, sit forward in your seat and place both feet flat on the ground. Sit up straight and align your head, neck, shoulders, and back in a straight line that goes down to the floor. Place your hands comfortably in your lap. Now close your eyes and just breathe. Breathe in and breathe out. In and out. As you breathe in, you feel energy filling your body. And as you breathe out, any stress or worries in your mind just fade away. Just breathe. The sound of the gong will signal the end of our quiet meditation.
In Japanese is an ancient ritual of purifying the mind and body and a physical expression of gratitude for this moment of unrepeatable life. Thank you very much. Let us all recite the golden chain of love together. Let us begin. I am a link
in a meal of goods, the golden chain of love that stretches around the world. I must keep my link bright and strong. I will try to be kind and gentle to every living thing and protect all who are weaker than myself. I will try to think pure and beautiful thoughts, to say pure and beautiful words, and to do pure and beautiful deeds, knowing that what I do now depends not only on my happiness or unhappiness, but also that of others. May everything in Amina's golden chain of love be bright and strong, and may we all attain perfect peace. Namo Amina's Namo.
Okay, we will now have the children's Dharma story time.
That is, of course, if I can find the puppets.
Our vacation.
So every time we have a funeral service, they have to put the puppets away because it's kind of inappropriate to have the puppets lying around. And I forgot to print out the script again, so we're just going to fake it. So good morning! Hey, live from Makawao. It's Children's Dharma Story Time. It's me, Bark the Dog, the star of the show. And here's the love of my life, Lucy the Ladybug. Well, good morning, everyone. Aloha kako. It's so nice to see all of you. Normally, Sensei has a long list of all of our Dharma buddies who are watching, but he forgot. So, hey, Dharma buddies, thanks for tuning in every Sunday. We're going to go ahead and start the show now, because we have a great story. Hey, Sensei, remember the title? Well, maybe you should turn the other slide. Okay, here we go. I knew I forgot something when I got started this morning. Today's story is Last Stop on Market Street. Words by Matt de la Peña. Pictures by Christian Robbins. Last Stop on Market Street. Words by Matt de la Peña. Pictures by Christian Robbins. This book is dedicated for Luna and her two grandmas, Ronnie and Grace. And that's from M. de la P. For Nana. And that's from C.R. CJ pushed through the church doors, skipped down the steps. The outside air smelled like freedom, but it also smelled like rain, which freckled CJ's shirt and dripped down his nose. He ducked under his Nana's umbrella, saying, "How come we gotta wait for the bus in all this wet?" 3 trees get thirsty too, his Nana told him. "Don't you see the big one drinking through a straw?" CJ looked for a long time, but never saw a straw. From the bus stop, he watched water pool on the flower petals. He watched rain patter against the windshield of a nearby car. His friend Colby climbed in, gave CJ a wave, and drove off with his dad. "Nana, how come we don't got a car?" "Boy, what do we need a car for? We got a bus that breathes fire, and old Mr. Dennis, who always has a trick for you." The bus creaked to a stop in front of them. It sighed and sagged, and the doors swung open. "What's that I see?" Mr. Dennis asked. He pulled a coin from behind CJ's ear and placed it in his palm. Nana laughed her deep laugh and pushed CJ along. They sat right up front. The man across the way was tuning a guitar. An old woman with critters had butterflies in a jar. Nana gave everyone a great big smile and a good afternoon, and she made sure CJ did the same. The bus lurched forward and stopped. Lurched forward and stopped. Nana hummed as she knit. How come we always gotta go here after church? CJ said. Miguel and Colby never have to go nowhere. I feel sorry for those boys, she told him. They'll never get a chance to meet Bobo or the Sunglass Man. And I hear Trixie got herself a brand new hat. CJ stared out the window, feeling sorry for himself. He watched cars zip by on either side, watched a group of boys hop curbs on bikes. A man climbed aboard with a spotted dog. CJ gave up his seat. How come that man can't see? Boy, what do you know about seeing? Mama told him. Some people watch the world with their ears. That's a fact. Their noses, too, the man said, sniffing at the air. That's a mighty fine perfume you're wearing today, ma'am. Nana squeezed the man's hand and laughed her deep laugh. Two older boys got on next. CJ watched as they moved by and stood in back. Sure wish I had one of those, he said. Nana set down her knitting. What for? You got the real live thing sitting across from you. Why don't you ask the man if he'll play us a song? CJ didn't have to. The guitar player was already plucking strings and beginning to sing. To feel the magic of music, the blind man whispered, I like to close my eyes. Nana closed hers too. And so did CJ and the spotted dog. And in the darkness, the rhythm lifted CJ out of the bus and out of the busy city. He saw sunset colors swirling over crashing waves, saw a family of hawks slicing through the sky, saw the old woman's butterflies dancing free in the light of the moon. CJ's chest grew full, and he was lost in the sound, and the sound gave him the feeling of magic. The song ended, and CJ opened his eyes. Everyone on the bus clapped, even the boys in back. Nana glanced at the coin in CJ's palm, and CJ dropped it in the man's hat. Last stop on Market Street, Mr. Dennis called. CJ looked around as he stepped off the bus. Crumbling sidewalks and broken down doors, graffiti-tagged windows and boarded-up stores. He reached for his Nana's hand. How come it's always so dirty over here? She smiled and pointed to the sky. Sometimes when you're surrounded by dirt, CJ, you're a better witness for what's beautiful. CJ saw a perfect rainbow arcing over their soup kitchen. He wondered how his Nana always found beautiful where he never even thought to look. He looked all around them again, at the bus rounding the corner out of sight, and the broken street lamps still lit up bright, and the stray cat shadows moving across the wall. When he spotted their familiar faces in the window, he said, I'm glad we came. He thought his Nana might laugh, her deep laugh, but she didn't. She patted him on the head and told him, Me too, CJ. Now, come on. The end. And on the back cover it says, CJ and his grandma take a bus ride together, discovering the beauty and wonder of their vibrant neighborhood. And that was the story, The Last Stop on Market Street. Words by Matt de la Peña, and pictures by Christian Robinson. Hey, Louie, wasn't that a great story? What part did you like? Hey, I see y'all in the back there. You look like kind of falling asleep. Hey, that's okay. Hey, that's okay. You can just be very honest and say, hey, Sensei, that was a boring story. Okay, anyway. Hey, Sensei,
I bet you can't think of anything to say, right? Oh, well, gee, that's okay. That happens to me all the time. Yeah, so write of us and be nice to other people. Next week, we'll make sure we print out the script. Because you're going to take a 2-minute break while Sensei prints out the script for his Dharma talk, which is coming up next. So kids, thanks for watching, but now I got to print this out and I'm going to put everyone to sleep, so give me a second. Oh, I know I forgot something. Okay, let's see if our fancy wireless printing network works. That should. Waiting for John. Okay.
We're in a commercial break.
Yes, commercial break.
Okay. Before we get going, we'd like to welcome our guest this morning. Would you like to introduce yourself? No? Hi, good morning.
This is Rebecca, Dave, and Kate.
Hi, welcome. Okay, anybody else have something to say during commercial break? Welcome, Kurt.
Long time no see.
Kurt, before I forget, at the end we're having on Wednesday bone dance practice just for you.
Well, very seamless segue there. Very good. Okay, so we're back, I think, maybe. So that was the children's Dharma story time. And so just remember, to the young person in the back, be good. But not too much, okay? So, I think many of you are familiar with the letter on white ashes. And I guess it was about 2 years ago now. Before the pandemic, Melody, our granddaughter, came. And we went to Lahaina, and I was the guest speaker, so I read the letter on white ashes. And so she came back and said, "Hey, Grandpa, you know what the letter on white ashes means?" And she said, "When the winds of impermanence blow, all that is left is just white ashes." Which I thought was hilarious, because she was copying the way that I delivered that. But that's what I'd like to talk about, to think about the idea of impermanence. So please join me in putting our hands together in Gasho and bowing our heads in quiet reflection for a moment of shared silence. Let us share this moment of silence to honor the memory of more than 1 million men and women who served in the military forces of the United States of America and did not return home. Let us share this moment of silence to honor the memory of more than 6 million people around the world who have died of COVID-19 since the beginning of the global pandemic. Let us share this moment of silence to honor the memory of the children and teachers whose lives were taken away in the mass shooting at the elementary school in Uvalde, Texas. Let us share this moment of silence together to reflect on how our lives today would not be possible without our friends and family and communities. Let us share this moment of silence together to truly appreciate the continued influence of our departed loved ones and dear friends, our collective honored ancestors. Let us share this moment of silence to realize that we live in this moment of an unrepeatable life only because of the sacrifice of countless unseen people, living beings, and all forms of life. Namo Amida Butsu. Please listen quietly and reflect upon the letter on white ashes by Deni Oshomi. In deeply contemplating the transient nature of life, nothing is more fleeting than our journey through this world. It is as an all too short dream. Has anyone lived 10,000 years? Life swiftly passes, and how many have lived for even 100 years? Whether I go before others, whether I go before others or whether others go before me, whether it is to be today or whether it is to be tomorrow, who is to know? Those who are sent off before us are as countless as the fragile drops of dew. Though in the morning we may be radiant with health, in the evening we may be white ashes. When the winds of impermanence blow, our eyes are closed forever. As we breathe our last breath, our face loses its color. Our loved ones gather and lament, but to no avail. The body is then carried out to an open field and disappears in smoke which smolders through the night, leaving only white ashes. Is there any expression for such a sad plight? This fragile nature of human existence underlies both the young and old, and we should, therefore, all the sooner turn our hearts to the singularly important matter of true and real life. We should recite the Nembutsu upon having completely entrusted all that we are to the Buddha Amida. In gratitude, we acknowledge these words humbly and respectfully. Humbly and respectfully. Namo Amida Butsu. So the letter on white ashes was written by the 8th Monshu, the chief priest of the Hongwanji, Renyo Shonin, in Japan in the 15th century. And this is what we read as part of our tradition, as part of our liturgy, every time that we have a funeral service and memorial services. So in that context, as human beings with a compassionate heart, we instinctively, we feel the pain and anguish and grief of the parents and families and communities whose lives have changed forever. And as parents, as grandparents, as uncles, aunties, family, friends, we share in this incomprehensible horror of a mass shooting in an elementary school. And our compassion compels us to want to do something, anything, to give comfort, to make things better for the parents and families and communities. And yet, if we are honest, we know that there's actually very little we can do to alleviate the suffering of the families, as much as we sincerely wish to. And this creates sadness in our hearts. And thus, while we sincerely wish to offer thoughts and prayers, as Buddhists, we don't pray to Amida Buddha with the expectation that our prayers will be answered by Amida. We do pray for things. We pray for them to somehow find peace. As human beings, our compassionate heart feels this pain and grief and suffering of other human beings in all forms of life. But, as the Buddha teaches us, as human beings, our egocentric mind of discrimination distinguishes between me and them, and instinctively prioritizes me over them. And it's this disconnection between our compassionate heart and our very human mind of discrimination, which coexists in all of us at our core. And this is what drives fear and anger, hatred, rage, and violence. Or the opposite, we can turn our backs on the real world of human suffering and confusion and delusion. In another times, we could go shave our heads and renounce the world, give up everything, and become monks in pursuit of becoming Buddha in this life, in this body. In modern times, we can become obsessed with news, become addicted to news, actually, or simply ignore the news, just turn it off. Or you could choose to watch only the news and quotes, that agrees with your personal point of view. As human beings, we can simply pretend compassion and discrimination don't exist inside of us. And we can delude ourselves into thinking, the real world doesn't impact me, so who cares? And we know instinctively that these two extremes do not lead to inner peace. So as Buddhists, we can only try our best to find the middle way, to reconnect great compassion and infinite wisdom, to gratefully receive the faith of Shinjin for the working of Amida in this moment, at this day of an unrepeatable life. We can only do our best to be guided by wisdom, awakening to reality as it is, to see both sides of conflict with clarity. And we can only try our best to be guided by compassion, allowing our thoughts and words and actions to be guided by our compassionate heart and the mind of non-discrimination. We can only try our best to reconnect and connect with family and friends, community in this moment of this day of an unrepeatable life, and every day that we gratefully receive until we too go forth to birth in the pure. And this is the meaning of the letter on white ashes, and the meaning of the Buddhist understanding of death. We must wake up now, to the reality that it is that we are being given the gift of this moment, of this day of an unrepeatable life, to connect and reconnect with our true self, with our family, our friends, and communities. This is also the meaning of Namo Amida Butsu, Amida's compassion and wisdom is working in our lives right now to guide us to the faith of Shinjin, birth into Pure Land, becoming Buddha, and returning in oneness to this world of delusion and confusion to guide others. And this is also the meaning and significance of Memorial Day, a reminder that our freedom as individuals and as a nation come at a price of men and women dying in the service of our shared nation. And as we grieve the inconceivable loss of life due to gun violence, let us be grateful for a reminder to never take for granted the love of family, friends, and community. Let us ask ourselves, what can I do today to express gratitude, to show appreciation, to begin to repay my debt of gratitude, so that to so many people who've made and make my life possible, just as it is. And when you reflect continuously upon your debt of gratitude, you will be brought to say, spontaneously and without calculation, Namo Amida. And when you realize how many people and causes and conditions have brought you to this day, a day of remembrance, a day of reflection, a day of reaching out to others, a day for kind eyes and gentle words, then you will just say mahalo. You will just say thank you, thank you, thank you. Mahalo for listening this morning, for joining us this morning, and may your day be filled with aloha. Namo. Did it turn itself off?
Yeah. Okay. Here we go. Oh. Am I the right? Okay. Well, thank you, Reverend Kara, for sharing the Dharma this morning. Okay. Please rise if you're able, and let us sing, although the song, the hymn of gratitude composed for Shinran. The words will be shown on the screen. Please remain standing for the singing of the Nembutsu.
If you can find it in your heart to care for somebody else, you will succeed. The wisdom of Maya Angelou.
We'll now have gratitude meditation.
So let's sit together quietly for a few moments. So just relax and get comfortable. If you're able, sit forward in your seat and place both feet flat on the ground. Now sit up straight. Align your head, neck, shoulders, and back in a straight line that goes down to the floor. Place your hands comfortably in your lap. Now close your eyes halfway so that you're looking both inwardly and outwardly. And just breathe. Breathe in. And breathe out. In and out. As you breathe in, think of something for which you are grateful. And as you breathe out, just say mahalo. Just say thank you, thank you, thank you. Just breathe. The sound of the gong will signal the end of our quiet meditation.
Thank you very much for joining the Dharma Family Service, especially. Oh, what happened to our guests?
I'll get them.
No, I just say thank you for coming this morning. May your day be filled with aloha and announcements.
Yes, there's never a service without any announcements. Tomorrow there's a Memorial Day service, which will be at the Maui Veterans Cemetery down at the Makawao Cemetery. It starts at 8:30, parking's kind of limited, you might want to show up a little early. Bone dance practice, you do not want to miss bone dance practice because there's only one, and I think Kurt's going to be showing his yukata fashion show. No, he won't. And then we have the baccalaureate service, so again, if there's any graduates, please let us know. And then Dharma's family services for the remaining Sundays. July gets a little crazy because at this time we're still planning for in-person summer garage sale, so there will be no service on that Sunday. The first Sunday would then be July 10th for the family service. Then the following Sunday we have general cleanup, so there's no service then. And after that we have the bon dance and the traditional day of rest after the bon dance. So there's only one service in July, so please come to that one. Columbarium open every day, 8:30 to 5. And that would be it. Oops, sorry. I was going to say, are there any other announcements? Yep, Floyd.
Okay, tomorrow we celebrate Memorial Day. The County of Maui Veterans Organizations will be having a program down at the Veterans Cemetery. So you can be there. It would be great. Just a history. If you stand by the flagpole, there's a small section of 3 rows in front of the flagpole. Those were the veterans, the Nisei veterans that came back and they were resting. over there. There was a story that was told that as the soldiers came back, they were laid to rest. There were some mothers and possibly wives at the time. They gathered, they brought the bento, and they had a Buddhist minister give a service for them. That probably was the first Memorial Day service at the cemetery. So if you go there, maybe some of the men that, since they read, they are probably buried over there. So just right in front of the flagpole, a small section. There's 100 battalion and some 442nd Regimental Combat Team that lost their lives during the war there. Thank you.
Okay, one dance practice is at 7 o'clock. Again, one time only, Wednesday night. And going to the baccalaureate, we have 3 honorees. Kai Thomas, from Kinki Kalike, is Diane's grandson. And Jonathan Lane, he's part of the scouting program. He's from Kinki Kalike. And our preschool graduate, Kenneth Kosaka. Okay, so actually there'll be 3 graduates. Okay, questions? Yes.
Sure. Mr. Cora's dad said they will be in New Zealand, but they will try. It's going to be live streamed, so they will try to catch that.
Oh, good. Okay, Cora Munch. Oh, Richardson.
Yeah, the last name is Richardson.
Oh, the Cora Richardson.
Mom is Hannah Mons.
Oh, okay, that's great. Okay, so we have 4. All right. Anything else, Sensei? Yep.
Sorry?
Anything else?
Anybody else?
Anybody else want to say something?
Anybody? Raise your hand if you're hungry.
Raise your hand.
Okay.
If not, go to the social hall.
Nobody else? We'll play the ending credits. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Jamie. Okay. All right. Next year we're going to have a big baccalaureate.